Greetings, Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. What we're going to do today is talk a little bit about the subject that's been in the news. But first of all, let me introduce you to my book, which is doing really well now. It's doing really well. It's got a number of 5-star reviews. Quite a lot. There you go. That's on Amazon. How can you resist it, folks? Yeah, anyway, I'm going to talk today about a judgment that's been held in the High Court by Lord Justice Holroyd, who has held that it is perfectly legal in England and Wales for transgender inmates, that's inmates that were born male and still maintain male genitalia, to be held in female prisons. The case was brought by somebody who was known only by the initials FDJ against the Ministry of Justice, and it was held for the Ministry of Justice by Lord Justice Holroyd that it was perfectly legal. Their policy of housing transgender inmates who have still got their full meat and two veg in female prisons, it's perfectly good for that. He said that they've got to facilitate the rights of transgender inmates to live lives in their acquired gender. So there you are. Murder, rape, doesn't matter what you've done, folks. If you're a bloke, just decide that you want to be a woman, and there you are, you're in the female prison. That's happened in Scotland. There's a case up in Scotland at the moment. This is calling it Tiffany. Now, I'm not against people doing this. Let them get on with it. Just don't involve me. But imagine if my daughter, my wife, my sister was in a female prison and somebody calling himself Tiffany. Can you see that? Yeah. Here we are. That's it, yeah. And this is a little video clip that I've put up on my TikTok site, Jailer John. You have a look. This is one of my videos on my. Here we go.
I always say, come on, let's go. Just when I ought to say nix. When a person tries to kiss a girl, I know she ought to give his face a smack. But as soon as someone kisses me, I'm just a girl who can't say no. I'm in a terrible fix.
Yeah, that's one of the videos on my TikTok channel. Just go onto TikTok, search Jailer John. There's loads of stuff up there. I've put loads of little silly clips. It's comedy, really. You know, I'm not being serious when I'm doing that. It's satire, shall we say. It's a satirical look at society. For instance, I've got one of Tyson Fury, and he's on my clip, he's singing the theme for Batman. And if you've been looking at the news, you'll know why, because he's bought a £4 million mansion in Cheshire, and he wanted to demolish it and build a great big house to his own design, and he can't do it because there's bats in the belfry, folks. Bats in his loft, attic, you know, so he can't do it. Lots of bats are protected species, and it's a criminal offence to actually destroy their habitat. And if their habitat happens to be in your loft, you can't touch them. Really. So basically today it's about the High Court judgment of Lord Justice Holroyd, who has held that it's perfectly legal for the Ministry of Justice to place male prisoners into female prisons so long as they are identifying themselves as being female, so their transgender rights are not they're not being, and you've got to say, you know, that good old British justice there, it makes a lot of sense, really, when you think about it, you know. I mean, if I was to become transgender, do you think I'd have to shave my beard off? Or I know what, I could be the bearded lady. Yeah. Uh-huh. Or I could go into a female prison and want to be transgender, but I'm a lesbian. Yep. I mean, listen, folks, I'm not behind the door. I have seen Pornhub. I have. Not very often, but I've seen it, yeah? And I think that I could be a lesbian in a man's body. How about that? Do you understand that, Lord Justice Holroyd? Yeah? I am a lesbian in a man's body. Well, perhaps not. But anyway, there's holy hell letting loose about this, and I think it's what Nicholas Stungun is doing about it in Scotland. It's the longest resignation letter in history. And she's getting the right pasting in the polls, because generally speaking, the people of Scotland are looking at this and thinking, okay, lad, it may wear a kilt, but it's getting some wedding tackle in there, you know. You can't have that in a female jail, you know. Hi, the new. Something like that, you know. Anyway, that's my little rant for today. I take it that you've had a look at the news, yeah? Also on the news, I don't know if you've seen it, all these unidentified flying objects being shot down. They can't identify them, you know. About 4 or 5 days ago, when the first one, they were talking about that balloon in America over, was it Montana? And my wife said, oh, what's all this about? And I, very psychic me, you know, said, listen, these things are going to appear all over the world. And sure enough, there they are. Uruguay's got them. China's accusing America now. Mm-hmm. Canada, Montana, Alaska, all over the world. Japan. Yeah. Nobody knows what they are. And they've shot some down and examining them. And apparently, this is what I've read online, the American military are saying that they can't rule out that these are extraterrestrial. So what is going on? If you want my belief, I believe that these are being used, these are research items that are searching the globe, yeah? And I do believe that they are terrestrial, but they are being used by somebody like Elon Musk or something like that. Anyway, let me not malign anybody, yeah? And as for the transgender people, I wish them well. I've previously mentioned that I have a cousin that's big on the national LGBT scene. She lectures all over Great Britain on the rights of people who are transgender, lesbian, gay, bi, whatever. And they have their rights. But do they have their rights to be in male prisons? And according to Lord Justice Holroyd, they do. So there we've clarified that, folks, yeah? I hope you feel a lot better about it now. So if your sister or your daughter gets put in prison and she's got to have a shower with a bloke with big bollocks, don't worry about it. It's within the law. And I'm not going to sing to you today. That's the song dinger though, because you might be scared of my poetry. But I have been asked to read this poem again. It's Grandpa Grumps. And it's about my grandson. So I'm going to do my best to read it, yeah, in a reasonable manner, so that you can all understand it, yeah. I've just become a grandfather. My daughter gave birth to a lad, and suddenly all of me mourning has stopped, because now, well, I'm just lad. I used to think days were real hard like, all working and plodding away, just filling in time till me passing, but now, well, I'm planning to stay. Wife says I'm getting a smirk on. I'm laughing and chuckling at kid, watching him yelling and skriking, aye, just like his mother once did. Now I see that this life's got a purpose, and all the trials, hurts and bumps have turned into lessons I've learned from on the way to Grandpa Grumps. But though I might be an old codger, grey hair, baldy patch and fat tum, for one little chap I'm still perfect, and that fella is me grandson. You see, it's all down to perception. He sees not the signs of old age, but a fella that offers affection, his very own jolly sage. I tell him tall tales of brave exploits, read nursery rhymes and sing songs. He sits on my knee and starts laughing, and never a day is too long. Dear God, let this boy live in freedom. Do not let his innocence spoil. As he faces this world and its troubles, may he find peace of mind, not just toil. Then one day, when my song's just a memory, and he's travelled and wearing life lumps, God grant him a grandchild to cuddle, and he too will be Grandpa Grumps. There you go. Grandpa Grumps, about my grandson. Right, that's it for today, folks. Oh, by the way, that thing I put up earlier, that's an interview I did with Darren G, the Liverpool gangster. I didn't know much about Darren G when I got invited onto his podcast, and they've taken it down. YouTube have disbanded him, I believe. I don't know why. He seemed a decent bloke to me. Had that gangsterish air about it, and I think he was a little bit reluctant to interview a former prison officer. But then again, I suppose I'm not just a former prison officer. I've written books on the subject. I actually did try and do something serious about the diabolical, disgusting state of the prisons when I was in there, and for my efforts I managed to get myself attacked by the staff, which is disgraceful really, because it was partly for the staff. You see, the thing is, in the prisons, the filth, dirt and degradation isn't just what the inmates experience, it's what the staff experience as well. But it seems that they like it, because when I tried to do something about it, they assaulted me. We'll speak again. Tales from the jails. Thank you, folks. Or leave me some comments and all that. Like, subscribe and some insults if you will. See you now.